Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're getting ready for your exams and need to get a solid grip on India's freedom struggle, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down four of the most critical movements that really paved the way for independence. So let's get right into it. So you gotta ask, right? Were these just four separate events that happened over a few decades? Or were they actually connected chapters in one single epic story? Well, we're about to see just how each one of these movements built on the last, pushing India, step by step, closer to that one big goal. All right, so our story really kicks off in 1905. This is what many people call the first major spark of the modern freedom struggle. It all starts with the decision by the British Viceroy, Lord Curzon, to partition Bengal. And let me tell you, this one move set the stage for pretty much everything that followed. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Officially, the British said they were just doing it for administrative convenience, to make it easier to govern. But the real reason? It was that classic colonial playbook, divide and rule. The goal was to split the Bengali people right down the middle, along religious lines, to create a Hindu majority west and a Muslim majority east. Why? To crush that growing sense of national unity. But you know what? The people of Bengal were not having it. They responded with this incredible, unified pushback called the Swadeshi movement. Now, Swadeshi literally just means of one's own country. It sparked this massive boycott of foreign products, especially British-made clothes. People started setting up their own national schools and colleges, and the streets just erupted with mass protests. And at the very heart of all this, you had one powerful, unifying slogan: Vande Mataram. It means, I praise thee, Mother. And it just became this electrifying anthem for the entire movement. It was a rallying cry for unity and defiance that you could hear all across the nation. And here is the absolute best part. It worked. The protests were so strong and went on for so long that by 1911, the British were actually forced to cancel the partition. This was a huge, huge victory. It proved that if people stood together, they could actually challenge the might of the British Empire. It was a massive confidence boost for the entire freedom struggle. Okay, so you can just imagine the momentum building from that win, right? Let's jump forward a bit. After World War I, things in India were incredibly tense. And this period saw the rise of two powerful movements that were deeply connected: the Khilafat and the non-cooperation movements. These really took the struggle to a whole new level. So, on one side, you had the Khilafat movement starting in 1919. The issue was that the British were threatening the position of the Turkish Caliph, who was seen as the spiritual head of Sunni Muslims around the world. This made Indian Muslims, led by the Ali brothers, really angry. And this is where Mahatma Gandhi saw a golden opportunity. He realized this was a chance to unite Hindus and Muslims against their common oppressor. So he connected the Caliphate cause with the national outrage over things like the Jallianwala Bagh massacre and launched the non-cooperation movement in 1920. So what was the plan? Well, the method was actually pretty simple, but it was incredibly powerful. Just refuse to cooperate with the British. Students walked out of government schools, lawyers left the courts, and thousands of people resigned from their government jobs. And just like before, the boycott of foreign goods became a huge symbol of national pride. The whole idea was to paralyze the British administration, but to do it peacefully. But then everything just stopped. In 1922, at a place called Churi Chowra, a protest turned violent, and a police station was set on fire. Now, for Gandhi, non-violence was everything. It was absolutely non-negotiable. He was horrified by this violence, so he immediately called off the entire movement. A lot of people were disappointed, of course, but it really showed his unwavering commitment to his principles. Okay, let's fast forward 20 years. The world is now deep into World War II, and the struggle for India's freedom is about to hit its final, most decisive phase. On August 8, 1942, the Indian National Congress launched the Quit India movement. This was it. This was the final call. And this time, there was no messing around. The objective was crystal clear. No more talks, no more asking for partial control. The goal was Purna Swatantrata, complete independence. The message to the British couldn't have been simpler: quit India. To fire everybody up for this final push, Gandhi gave the nation a powerful new mantra, Karo ya maro, which means do or die. Now, this wasn't a call for violence. It was a call for the ultimate sacrifice, a call to act like you were already free and be willing to give absolutely everything for that freedom. So what happened next?
The British response was immediate, and it was brutal. Gandhi and the entire Congress leadership were arrested overnight. But this is what makes the Quit India movement so incredible. With all the leaders in jail, the people themselves took charge. It became this spontaneous, leaderless revolution. Protests erupted everywhere, communication lines were cut, and the movement just spread like wildfire to every single corner of the country.
And the impact of all this? It was profound. Even though the British eventually suppressed the movement with force, they finally understood a fundamental truth. Their time in India was up. The massive scale and intensity of the Quit India movement proved that they could no longer rule against the will of the Indian people. Independence was no longer a question of if, but when. All right, let's pull all this together and switch gears a bit. It's time to focus on what you really need to know to nail those exams. Think of this next part as your high-impact revision guide. So first, let's just quickly trace that progression one more time. It all kicks off in 1905 with the Partition of Bengal, which really awakens the whole nation. That builds to the period after World War I, with the Khilafat and non-cooperation movements in 1919 and 1920, which brought the masses into the struggle. And then finally, you have 1942, the Quit India movement, which delivered that final decisive blow. Seriously, this table is your best friend for a quick review. You can see each movement, the year it happened, and its main goal, all in one place. Protesting divide and rule in 1905, defending the Caliphate in 1919, mass nonviolent opposition in 1920, and that final push for complete freedom in 1942. This is definitely a good one to screenshot for your notes.
And finally, here are a few pro tips to help you score well. Always start your answer with the correct year. It just shows you know your timeline. Then, structure your points clearly. Use headings like causes, objectives, and results. And be sure to drop in the names of key leaders like Lord Curzon, Mahatma Gandhi, or the Ali brothers. Most importantly, use bullet points. Clean, point-wise answers make it so much easier for the examiner to see that you know your stuff.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought. We've just gone through a story that was driven by incredible unity, powerful nonviolence, and immense sacrifice. And that brings up a big question. How relevant are those very same lessons for us today? Thanks so much for joining me, and good luck with your studies.